I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, December the 1st, brought to you in part by Norfenacol by Norbrook. Norfenacol is the bioequivalent of Nuflor, but with added benefits. The first one is it's not as thick, and most of y'all know what I'm talking about if you've used that, and it's more syringeable. It comes in plastic bottles, so you have less risk of losing the product after you paid for it. And it has a lower or a shorter sub-Q withdrawal. And don't forget it's fast, and that's the main thing about Norfenacol. But for more information about it, go to norbrook.com. Achieving lower fed cattle, and that's what your packers were able to do with the sell-off of the board this week. And so we saw a huge sell-off last Friday after Thanksgiving, and then come in with Monday with another even bigger huge sell-off. And so we saw packers, and of course they were short bought and they needed cattle, so they aggressively got in there on Monday and started getting some cattle bought as low as 175. And you had a few basis jumpers, some cash sellers that were looking at the basis because the board had dropped so much, and then they got to stick that basis in their pocket there to help them reach their break-evens or make a better profit there. But we saw them get a few cattle bought that way on Monday and early week there, and so didn't have the market established there yet. But then a little bit more trade on Tuesday, and even though the futures was up, and then by Wednesday they could pretty much tell the cash sellers, well, that's the market. You know, that's where we're at, 175. And ended up being 174 after some more sell-off on Thursday in the Southern Plains. But your cash fats are going to be mostly $2 lower as far as the weighted average. Could be $3 lower in parts, but the weighted average is going to be close to $2 lower, and your dressed market's going to be mostly $5 lower. So we lost considerable ground on the cash fat cattle price, which is the major price, the price that makes the most difference, and then everything else just as a derivative after that. Most of our cash feeders, those with high quality, sold really well this week, and we've got really good demand for calves. We're seeing a lot of fancy long streams of calves coming into our better sales all over the country. We got lots of wheat. You go way out west, they've got lots of hay. There's lots of silage put up, a lot of cheap feed there, and so we saw our feeders and our calves sell fairly well this week. We might have lost some ground there here and there, but it wouldn't have been a major sell-off like losing so much ground in your fat cattle trade. But you know, it reminds me of a story that I heard this week, and not sure if he wanted me to tell it, but here it is. But when I was up in northeast Iowa this week talking to some farmer feeders, and my friend Mike Schwark was there, and he sells or markets the fat cattle for the Iowa Cattlemen's Association's cooperative, which is a bunch of their farmer feeders that throw their fat cattle together, and then they sell them as a group and try to get a better cash price for them, and most of them do sell in the cash market up there. But he was telling me about a few years ago when he was down at NCBA, or National Corporate Beef Association meeting, and he was there representing Iowa Cattlemen's Association, and he was pleading for price discovery and transparency there. And he was telling, exactly what's happening. He said, we're just getting thinner and thinner and thinner on our cash trade, and we're going by the way of the hogs. And if you guys, don't pass this bill or get behind this bill, and this was before NCBA outlawed a mandate as far as their organization does, but he was pleading for that. And then he mentioned to me that on the front row there was a sleepy and half asleep but very influential AMA lover, or alternative marketing agreement lover, there that sells in the formula. And while Mike was continuing to plead for price discovery and transparency, he finally come awake and bellered out, "There will always be some dumb son of a bitch that will sell cash." And that's kind of where we're at now. And I'm not calling the people that sell cash that dumb, but the industry is riding on your coattails. and the packers are abusing you. And the packers could really, at this point, get along without the few cattle that they buy on the cash market. They could just get by on the cattle that are already promised to them in the captive supplies. That's what happened to the hogs when we lost your cash hog market and eventually lost all independent hog feeding, is nobody sold cash anymore. We didn't have price discovery, and so everybody just contracted up, and there was no more independent hog feeders left. And we're getting to that point here, and there's just not that much trade. They actually don't need that much trade. They've slowed the change speeds down so much here, even though we feel like they need product, that they're just buying a little bit of cattle there at lower prices anytime they really feel like it. And it's very, very frustrating for those of us that like price discovery. We like negotiation. We like competitive bidding. We feel like that's the only way to sell cattle. But your board was down a little bit more on Thursday, and it wasn't the huge swings. I mean, it's sizable swing, but not the volatility that we've seen here over the last several days. But and I'm not sure that it had anything to do with what was causing the big sell-offs and the algorithms and everything that happened on our previous volatile days, because it wasn't down as much, and it showed pretty good strength. But the open interest has just been completely flushed out of our cattle futures, and nobody seems to want to be along, because every change that's been made by CME in the last few years has been to benefit your hedger or your short position, and so there's no longs that want to take it. You know, we used to have big fund managers that would get in and speculate on the long side and things, but you know, there's just nothing in their favor, so it's hard to prop that market up anymore. But I think there was some fundamental bearishness out there on Thursday, and it came in our actual slaughter information come back for the week ending November the 18th, which with your average dress steer carcass weight at a monster record of 936 pounds. Wow. Now that is bearish. And you know, and how do we keep making cattle that big? Well, people are trying to feed their way into a profit there, or pad their profits if they're already in the profit side. But you know, you got some packers that are promoting that, and they're giving people a premium to bring in cattle with a 950 pound carcass weight. That is huge. You know, it hasn't been that many years ago that 900 pounds got discounts. 950 for sure. You know, and now it's up to 1050 if you even see any discounts, and most of the time you won't, because, you know, they're just holding that carrot out there for feeders to continue to make cattle bigger and bigger and bigger. And as high as feeder cattle are, it's easier to do that than it is to replace them. But of course, you know, beef is all about tonnage, and so the bigger you get those carcasses, the more tonnage you have to sell, and it gets your packers out of these low supply periods until we start to get more cattle out there. And I think this low supply is going to continue. Do I know if the big prices are going to stay out there? I don't know, because we see the board crater for no reason, and we see prices tumble after that. But you know, we had a really small calf crop this year, and I think it was smaller than what was advertised, and next year is going to be a lot smaller yet. But I don't know, you know, what's going to happen, because it doesn't seem like your markets really abide by your fundamentals anymore. But I guess it's meeting season, or cattle meeting season. I was up in northeast Iowa there at Osage, Iowa, at a feedlot meeting there. I'm coming to you from Kirksville, Missouri. Going to be giving the keynote talk at the Missouri Livestock Symposium on Friday. And then I'm going to be driving most of the night to get to Hot Springs, Arkansas, to a cattlemen's conference on Saturday. And then if I get done early there, I'm hoping to get over to the U.S. Cattlemen's Association's cocktail hour on Saturday night in Fort Worth, Texas. And I'm sure I'm going to be able to get all that done, but that's the plan anyway. But if you guys enjoy this report and you're not getting it as regular as you would like to get it, and you'd just love to have it sitting in your text when you get up in the morning, you can text the word flash to 209 Corbett. And that's my first name. It's Corbett. It's not Corey, and it's definitely not Corbin. But I was named after my grandfather, Cordell Wall, and my name is Corbett Dell. And they got the word Corbett from one of my dad's dear friends, Joe Bob Corbett from Narvaez in New Mexico. So if you text the word flash to 209 Corbett, it will automatically get texted to you, and all you have to do is hit it, and it'll bring up this report. Let's talk about your board on Thursday. December live cattle futures down 102 at 170.87. February was down 165 at 170.182. Back months on live cattle down 95 to down 150, which is a sizable loss, but not the huge swings that we've been seeing here lately. January feeder cattle down 225 at 219.95, and that could be partly because corn was up so much on Thursday too. So we have to look at some fundamentals there, and maybe your board is abiding a little bit. But March feeder cattle down 170 at 222.57. Back months on feeder cattle down $1.20 to down $1.90. Like I said, your December corn was up 12 cents on Thursday, ending regular trading at 4.61 3/4 cents a bushel. January beans down 4 1/4 cents at 13.42 3/4. Kansas City hard red winter wheat for December up 3 1/4 cents at 6.43 1/4 cents a bushel. Your fat cattle trade, Iowa sold some more cattle at the market, which they established after the big sell-off. 8,100 head sold on Thursday, 14,400 for the week, which is light even to what we've been seeing. And we've seen the three smallest weekly movements that we've seen pretty much all year here, just of late here. But with these slow change speeds, I guess they're getting by on it. But your live price in Iowa on Thursday was 173 to mostly 175, and dress trade at 275. Nebraska sold 7,400 on Thursday. They've sold 12,500 for the week. Live price 173 to mostly 175, just like Iowa. Dress sales from 273 to 275. Kansas sold 3,200 on Thursday. They've sold 8,500 for the week, which is about what they've been doing. But the live price in Kansas was 171 to mostly 174. Texas 900 head on Thursday, 6,000 for the week, 173 to mostly 174. Box beef cutout values were higher for a change on Thursday. 299.02 on choice, up 199, and selects up 66 cents at 264.75. Your slaughter 494,000 through the first 4 days of the week. Can't really compare with last week because we had the holiday, but compared to the same week a year ago, we were 15,000 head lighter for the week so far, and they just continue to creep that. And if they can get by with that without any beef, and they're in the beef selling business, then I guess credit to them. Talk about what else is going on. Performance Livestock Analytics. And I actually met the COO and the co-founder, which is Dustin Balsley, and he's a bright young guy there. He developed these programs. He's recently got back in charge of them, and he's got a lot of plans to improve them even more. But his main goal is to help smaller producers make their production easier, and I applaud him for that. But performance beef through Performance Livestock Analytics is it's as easy to use as your phone, and it helps simplify feeding, performance, and health. For more information, go to performancelivestockanalytics.com. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DVAuction based on an 800-pound cash auction steer was down another 86 cents on Thursday through Thursday sales, and sitting at 222.69. CME cash feeder cattle index, the latest available was 224.77. Don't forget, we've got the big wean vac special at Ozarks Regional Stockyards in West Plains, Missouri. That's going to be here on Friday, starting at 8:30 in the morning, and then on Saturday here, the 2nd of December, They've got the Brinkley bred heifer special, and they've got some other bred heifers there, really, really fancy, top quality. Both of those sales you can view and bid on DVAuction.com. Talk about your bigger sales on Thursday. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas had 2,100 head, which is still a pretty light run for them for this time of year. And compared to 2 weeks ago, which was the last good sale, the market reporting, which is weak in Kansas, just said that the market was lower on a light test. But I did see an impressive quote there. They sold 50 steers, weighed 965 at 227.50. That's over 150 pounds over your average for your index, and $5 higher than that. So I thought it was pretty impressive. Your NationalBeefWire stick-out sale of the day was Stockman's Livestock Exchange in Dickinson, North Dakota. That's the East Barn in Dickinson, North Dakota. 4,300 head of feeder cattle on offer. Look at this automated market report, and you see your best tested weights. 499 head of 4-weight steer calves in North Dakota, average 458 at 313.17. 1,147 head of 5-weight steer calves in Dickinson, average 557 at 277.57. And 642 head of 6-weight steer calves, average 650 on the button at 258.88. Look at some heifers. How about 577 head of 4-weight heifers, Dickinson, North Dakota, 456 pounds on the average, 271.88 on the weighted average price. And 628 head of 5-weight heifers, average 546 at 253.34. Give you some individual quotes from all around. How about Mobridge Livestock in South Dakota? They sell 110 steer calves, weighed 527 at 317.50. Wow. How about the Fairview, Illinois sale barn? My friend Brian Curlis, former World Livestock Auctioneer Championship winner, he sends me their quotes out of there on their big sales. They sold 64 steers from Rex McClure, weighed 835 and bring 240 in Illinois. Those farmer feeders out there are still pretty bullish. And the sale that I went to on Thursday as I was making my way over to Kirksville, New Cambria Livestock Auction. It's one of our newest DVAuction broadcast barns there. They had an impressive offering there. And Phil McBee is the new owner there. He's a displaced Texan. Like I used to be. I eventually made my way back home to Texas, and he's found a new home up here in north central Missouri, but he's doing a good job with New Cambria Livestock Auction, and he had a long string of heifers that come in from former owner Larry Duncan. How about 229 heifers, weighed 731 and bring 225.10. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday, your Macrocin No BS top quote for the day, come out of Clarinda Livestock Auction in Clarinda, Iowa. Also a DVAuction broadcaster there, a lot of friends there. 73 steers, weighed 576 and bring 294. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.